everybody to the first DFS Aviation Services Expert Talk. We would like to welcome you. And today I have a very special guest. It's Jorge Casanova. Thank you for taking your time and joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Today we would like to talk about airspace, route and procedure design. And Jorge is our expert for this. So I would say, let's give it a start. Tell us a little bit about what is airspace design about?
Airspace design consists on the design, as we say, so drawing and thinking on anything related to airspace. So it can be either airspace structure, what kind of classes of the airspace you want to design. It can contain also or refer to the different parts of the airspace. So we could be talking about the FIR, the highest part. We could be talking about the terminal maneuvering area, which generally is related to the last part of the flight, the approach and the departure from the airport. Or we could be talking about CTRs, which is the airspace part around the airport. And on top of this, airspace design could consist on redesigning flight procedures. So which flight paths the pilots need to follow to depart from an airport or to arrive to an airport.
Okay, thank you, Jorge, for explaining this to us. How would customers and we initiate a project?
There could be different ways. They could approach us right away, or we could approach them if we see there's a problem. But typically, the situation comes when a customer, be it an ANSP generally, has a problem in their environment, in their airspace. Be it could be that they have obsolete flight procedures, be it that the structure of their airspace is maybe kind of from the older times or former times, be it that the airspace to the military is not needed anymore as it was before. So what they would do, or be it that the workload for the controllers is too high and it becomes unmanageable. So the customer would come to us, or we would help them with that, and they would tell us we've got a problem, and we would put ourselves in their foot, and we would probably visit their facilities, or nowadays in COVID times we've also done this remotely, and find out what are exactly their problems, both qualitatively and quantitatively, to really see what things need to be changed. And once we've got a clear idea on what things need to be changed, structure, volumes and sectors, or flight procedures, then we can really find out where exactly are the problems, what things need to be changed, and tackle it throughout our project itself.
Okay, so you just mentioned COVID and the pandemic. How did you work during the pandemic?
Like, as in every company, it was a challenging time. We were actually in the middle of a project in Argentina, in which we are redesigning their TMA for Buenos Aires. It's the biggest or the busiest TMA in Argentina. And COVID kicked in the middle of the project while we were about to start the actual design of the new airspace there. We had to somehow reshuffle everything, and instead of doing the workshops that we wanted to do with their operational personnel, with the ADCOs there and the design people there, instead of doing them on-site in Buenos Aires, we had to come up with a new methodology which consisted on replacing any on-site visits by online visits. What we did was to have a bigger number of workshops with a big audience of controllers, where we iterated different proposals from our side as to how to have things differently done, but never us imposing what is the best solution. We just come with our expertise and our recommendations based on our vast knowledge in the matter, thanks to Germany and thanks to international projects. But we always run it through them to get their local knowledge, because they know more than we do on how to run their operations. So through those iterations, we kind of evolved the design to come up with an agreed solution. And this is very important, because then it means that the solution and the new procedures and the new airspace that we are designing, they are already accepted by a vast or a representative community of the ADCOs there. And that always makes it very, very much easier for when the implementation comes.
Okay. So talking about the Buenos Aires project, what are the phases the project undergoes throughout?
In the case of Argentina, we followed ICAO 9992 methodology. Along with other companies in a consortium, we helped the Argentinians design this new TMA, and the phases were 4 phases. So we had the planning phase, we then had the design phase, we then had the validation phase, and the implementation phase, which is yet to come. It has not been implemented yet. It will be implemented over this year and next year. In the planning phase, overall, you create this team from the customer and ourselves, and also from other stakeholders. And this is important. When you do a design, you cannot focus only on the ANSP. The ANSP is one part, but you also have to consider the airlines and the general aviation, which are users. You have to consider the military, which are other users, and you have to consider also the regulator, because they are the ones that will approve this new design. So you have to decide who you want to invite, who you want to ask the questions about the new design, and find out the problems that I mentioned before, what things are going wrong, and really ideally quantify them. Quantify what are the problems, where exactly, how much are we talking about? Because only when you have this picture about the actual quantification of the problems, you can then compare it at the end of the project to see if the benefits that you envisage have materialized.
Okay.
In the second phase of the design, you start iterating with the customer, new procedures, new airspace structures, and as I said, you evolve the solution. You might come for airport X with 4 or 5 proposals with benefits and disbenefits from each one of them. This group that has been formed will kind of agree, disagree on one another. We might need to create additional proposals, and one final one is somehow selected, a conceptual design for that one. We obviously need to also make sure that the CNS, the technical infrastructure, is capable of supporting this new design. And we jump into the validation phase. In the validation phase, you obviously, first of all, evolve this conceptual design, because this conceptual design, somehow you're drawing lines to make for the procedures, and you are defining the airspace, but you then need to start looking into the actual full details, making sure that the turns in the procedure are compliant, that they follow the regulation from PANSOPs, which is the standard for flight procedures and so on. But also you validate through different techniques that the new design indeed is fit for purpose. And this is important. You cannot say in paper, this is wonderful, because you need to really say why this is a wonderful thing, why it's going to be better for everyone involved, for the NSP and for the users, and by how much you need to inform the stakeholders about the benefits that they need to foresee or expect. So in the case of Argentina, we ran a fast time simulation of the new design. We helped them run a real-time simulation in which remotely from Germany, we participated, or we helped them prepare for the real-time simulation. We helped them define the materials, define the questionnaires, help them configure their simulator, define how many runs and participated by whom and so on. And also participated in the actual real-time simulation remotely as observers to help the ATCOs work the new design in the way that we envisaged. And finally, we also did some validation with a 3D model, by which it's very visual. You can actually see through software such as Google Earth where the flight trajectories are envisaged, crossing which airspace volumes, if there's any problems with obstacles, where are the obstacles? So this is very, very graphic, and it can also help to benefit a wider community, thinking of, for example, a ministry of Argentina that needs to build a new building. They can see where the procedure lies against the building.
Okay, that's quite interesting.
Correct. And the final phase, the implementation phase, which has not happened, basically all that preparation that has happened throughout the first 3 phases goes into place. And you train the ATCOs, all ATCOs in the new design. You make sure that the system is sustainable. You publish the charts. The regulator approves the design and so on, so that the day you're going to go live, everything is ready.
Okay, so would you say it is a benefit that we are an ANSP ourselves?
Absolutely. The traffic, it's going to be worked by controllers. And only, in our view, only when you are an ANSP, you can be in their foot to know how it is to work the traffic, to know that you should not just design something that looks fancy in a paper. You need to design something that is workable and that delivers benefits to the controllers and the stakeholders. Mm-hmm. And only when you are an NSP, you know what workload is about. You know what things create complexity, what things the ad code face on a daily basis, and you need to avoid the problems that they may derive. So knowing what we would be doing seated in that position is exactly what we aim to help our customers.
So this was Jorge Casanova talking about Airspace Redesign. Thank you for listening to our first DFS Aviation Services expert talk. If you would like to arrange a meeting, or if you have questions to Jorge or us, let us know, leave us a comment or write us a message, and we were happy to rearrange a meeting. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Bye.
Bye.